And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of this podcast. I'm your host, Super Kami Will, and it has been a long time since anyone amongst the Grey family has done one of these. And I, today, am going to review for you a movie that came out a little while ago called A Quiet Place 2. Now, spoilers, obviously, for this, but also spoilers for what this is going to be about. I do not like this movie. I didn't like the last movie, and I like this movie maybe even less. Well, actually, maybe I like a little more for certain parts, but I don't like it, period. I'll say I hate it. I hate this movie, and I hate this movie franchise, and I hate that almost definitely another one's going to come out in the near future. So before I start talking about the movie itself, I'm going to give a brief history of why I don't like the first one. I went in the first one completely blind. I just hearing about how it was a very popular movie. It was a drama suspense film with horror elements. So I was like, it seems interesting. I've been trying to get into more horror movies. So I watched the movie, and I mean, it's hard to put it in words. But I think the characters were stupid. They acted stupid. I think the world that the movie takes place in, I didn't like the use of sound. The sound was the most important part of the movie, because I felt like a lot of the times when they would make sounds, it was like sounds that were low were over dramatized, and sounds that should have been higher were just muted. So I felt like a lot of the parts of the movie where it's quiet, which, I mean, adds to the suspense of the movie, I suppose. But for me, I'm like, well, they should be making sound, realistically. Like, one of the things I hated the first one was the sand aspect of it. That they have, like, sand all over. Like, they made, like, a sand road from where their house/barn is all the way to the town and into important areas of the town they would often frequent. And I just think in a northeastern town for over a year, how much sand do they have to go through to maintain that road? Which I know it's a nitpick, and this whole podcast is probably gonna be about nitpicks. But it's just like it's the little things for me that added up that just bothered me throughout that movie. The major part was the monsters themselves. I'm trying to remember exactly what we did and didn't know in the first movie. I think we knew that they were from outer space in the first movie. Don't know how many in the first movie, or maybe we did by that point. But I thought the monsters, they look cool. The CGI was great, but how did they wipe out life on Earth? I mean, I didn't understand that part, and the whole part of that movie, the point of that movie was that they find by accident the way to like the Achilles heel these monsters to kill them. So it was like a certain frequency that came from the daughter's ear. I don't know what it's exactly called, but the thing that she puts in the ear to help her hear. So the frequency from that, it bothered them, the high pitch, and because of that they were able to shoot it in the head. And that to me is beyond ridiculous. Not the hearing part. The fact that the monster's weakness is headshots? What? I didn't understand that. Because the weakness, like, they get bothered by the sound, and the sound may make them stumble. Sort of like, I'm trying to think, like, what it's the equivalent to. But, like, basically when they play the sound, it was in pain. It couldn't hear/see because it hears through seeing. I guess, like, some sort of echo location or something. But, so it didn't have its senses. It didn't know what was going on. And because of that, they were able to get an easy headshot with, like, I guess some kind of assault rifle. I think it was an assault rifle. It might have been a shotgun, but I think it was an assault rifle. And so they killed it. And I didn't understand that because they talk about in the movie that it has armor. Like, there's a scene where they look at a board and it says armor on it. So we know it's armored. It's hard to kill, but I didn't understand how you're telling me no military, like the world was wiped out and no one was able to get a single headshot off on some of these monsters. That to me, that was always seemed ridiculous. That, and I know the head has armor on it, and the way that they specifically killed it was when it did the high pitch frequency that bothered the monster. It's like like the head kind of like in the front opens like a flower in a way, and they were able to shoot the unarmored part. But so I'm gonna stop the review there for the first movie, because a lot of the points I'm gonna continue with, I kind of like mostly get from this movie. So I'm just gonna do a quick, not even maybe quick, like I'm gonna do a rundown of the movie, talk about the parts, what I liked, what I didn't like, and then at the end I'm gonna give my overall assessment of the movie. So the movie starts out right when the attacks are first happening. So it goes back to about a year, and it shows the father, and this is what I don't like with the movie again. So I started out and I didn't like it. It shows the father in the town. The town's empty. He goes in the store. It's very quiet. He goes in the store, and you follow the dad for like 5 minutes, just going to the store, getting like oranges and water, and then he has an interaction with the store owner. He leaves. He walks outside. It's really crowded out, and like the whole thing is, I guess, to point out that he's a good, upstanding citizen. I didn't get it. Then he goes to his I think the oldest son's baseball game, and then that's when you meet my favorite character in this movie. His name is Cillian Murphy, great actor, but you meet him, and so they have like interactions during the baseball game. Cillian Murphy's talking to his daughter, like, you know, jokingly talking about, like, you know, like, oh, like, how do you, like, what's the sign for this? And I mean, I'm watching this whole thing and I'm like, okay, this is just like it's like generic 101. He's important. And like things he's talking about, this, like, he asks, what does dive mean in sign language? And it's like, oh, that's probably gonna pop up later on. It's like just like little things. And then they look up and they see like a giant meteor entering the atmosphere. It's on fire. Like it's gonna land somewhere. And they leave. People start panicking a little bit. And then that's when you see... Also, really quick, like, going back to the dad and, like, him being an upstanding citizen, I don't remember what his job was in the first movie. I don't even know if they mention it. But, like, at one point, the police stop to, like, a policeman stops and he starts asking, like, the policeman questions, like, you know, what's happening here? And I'm coming to this because a little later on, this is, like, a weird theme of the movie. And I talked to Brendan about it. He hasn't seen it yet. But I talked to him about, like, there's one weird theme in the movie that's a big driving force for it that I was blown away with how it was handled. And so this is, like, just, like, teasing, I guess, in a way, a little bit. So that's when you start seeing the monster attack. And I'm not sure if it was 1 or 2 monsters. It's kind of hard to tell. But so the monster and or monsters are attacking people. And they're killing people. They're causing havoc all over the place. And that's when we... Excuse me, I have notes here. I'm trying to remember it. That's when they go into a bar. So it's broken up. So you have the mom, Emily Hunt, right? I mean, that's when... Emily Blunt. Sorry. Emily Blunt. She has the eldest son and the youngest son. And then you have the dad and the daughter. The dad and the daughter hide out in a bar with a bunch of other people while they hear people screaming outside, being killed. And immediately the dad looks at the daughter and goes, shh. And I'm thinking to myself, well, like, because if I was, you know, again, nitpick, but I was going back and forth on how did they know about the shh part already? It's like, I get that, like, you know, something's going on, there's a disaster going on outside, like, but, and like, you want to keep quiet, but everyone is quiet. But I was a little confused by that. But then the daughter looks over, and this is like, stupid. She sees another girl about her age and her father, and the girl's on her phone with her mother. And the girl's like, Mom, like, you could tell she's hearing her mom probably being killed. And like, she starts like, the girl starts like, you know, about to start tearing up. And the main girl looks at her, smiles, and nods. Kind of like that meme of like that dude in the wilderness looking back at, like, it was so weird. Because I'm just looking at that. And I'm like, the girl just probably heard her mom die. I don't know if that's the proper response to give to that. Of like, don't worry, everything's going to be alright. But anyway, then the monster comes in, starts attacking and killing people. The daughter and the father escape. And by this point, it's also a little weird because they go outside and like the town is deserted, which I thought was very confusing because it's a pretty popular town. Like there were a lot of people screaming. I think it'd be a little weird if, it's not even that they killed everyone because like the streets were pretty barren. So I was a little weirded about like, where did everyone just go? Like, where did all the cars go? Where did all the screaming people go? Everyone just like deserted. But anyway, that ends that, and then 12 minutes in, you get the credits of like A Quiet Place 2. Okay. So then the movie starts out with the mom, the family. They're kind of like, it's immediately picking up right where the last movie came out. So they're walking outside. They just killed the monster. They're trying to, like, get supplies that they might need. Well, I guess they don't really get any supplies, really. They just go and they get the baby's built crib, if you want to even call it that, carrying case, I don't know, with an oxygen tank. And the oxygen tank it becomes really important later on. But so they're deciding what to do, and then the daughter climbs on top of the sand tower, I guess. And if you remember the first movie, they had that campfire kind of thing going on, where like every night they would light the fire, and then they'd look around the distance, and other people would light fire, and that was kind of like, hey, we're all still alive. I don't remember it. I haven't seen the first movie in a long time, but I thought in the first movie there was a lot of people doing that. But in this movie, it's just that family and then one other group far out. And I thought it was a little weird because, like, the daughter's marking stuff down, and it's implied, but like not even implied, it's shown that they don't know who these other people are, which I thought was a little weird. They don't know who they are, and they don't know where they are. So how did this start? One night did they just climb up high and light a fire, and then another person lit a fire, and like it was just. It's been I think like 500 days into this outbreak. And they never thought to go walk, because they're not that far. So they never thought to go walk and like try and find other people. I don't know. So they decide to go to them for help. And on the way, they go, and it's kind of like in a rusted train warehouse. And they get caught in a trap. So they get caught in a trap that like a bunch of, you see in the commercial, they like hit a wire and glass bottles come down and start crinkling. So the monsters are coming. They're running. And this is something I try to like look during every scene where this would happen in the movie. If you make noise, is it better to run or like hide somewhere and be silent? And it's back and forth. So because when I was first watching this, I was like, why are they immediately running and like making a lot of noise while they're running? But like I said, it goes back and forth. So they're running, and then the son steps into. Like a bear trap, like where you step on it and like it shuts closed in the leg and grabs you. And I thought this was almost comical. And I gotta say, so really fast, Emily Blunt, I think she's bad in this movie personally. I don't like her acting in this. The son, I think he is an over actor in a lot of these scenes to almost a comical level. The daughter though, I think the daughter, she's great in it. I will probably pronounce this wrong. It's Millicent, I think that's her name, Millicent Simmons. But she's great in this. So he gets caught in a bear trap, and I mean, this is a bear trap shutting closed on your leg. No, shutting close, yeah. So it closed on his leg, and he falls over. And instead of like immediate pain, he stops, looks up, mouth wide open, and then slowly turns his head back to look at his leg. And then he's about to scream when his mom comes over and covers his mouth. But I was like, dude, you'd immediately scream. This isn't like I think there's something on my leg. It was a comical scene. But so she gets the bear trap off. And he's still able to walk. He's hobbling, but he's walking, and I'm pretty sure that would be like the end of that leg. But so they encounter a monster, and so this is when the monster, it kind of starts getting a little like the suspense of it kind of like kills it for me. Is they immediately kill it. They just the daughter plays. She like rigged an old boombox or something to the earpiece so that she could make it like make the noise go out. And so it stumbles the monster, they shoot in the head, they kill one monster, boom, another one gone. But then there's another one there, so they're running. And that's when they meet Cillian Murphy, who was the guy that the daughter and the father were talking to in the cutscene. So he's there. He saves them. He brings them down to like... and again, while this is happening, I don't want to keep bringing it up. But during all these scenes, they're running, they're making noise. They're in an old factory, like a rusted down old factory. They're making no noise. Like, and I also at this point, this is when you kind of see like where the monsters, where they run. So it seemed like they're doing echolocation because when they're attacking or anything, their face is opening up and they're making like a kind of like a clicking sound. So I'm assuming that's how they're seeing. And again, to my earlier point, if they're constantly opening up their armored face, how has no military in the world ever gotten a headshot off on this creature? It baffles me that these creatures were like, how they killed the human race, basically. Like, I don't understand it. They seem really, not easily killable, but it seems like if they, like, I don't know, attacked a military base or something, that they'd be wiped out. Like, I don't understand that, like, one of these things attacking a military base, someone's getting a headshot. But I digress. So they escape into, like, a, kind of like an old furnace room or something. Not a room, like a little, like, furnace with a iron gate. So they escape in there. They're spending time in there. So the guy, Cillian Murphy, he's like, listen, before you even say anything, I have no supplies. I don't have supplies for me. I don't have water for me. I'm out of everything. Like you can tell, he's kind of like living off alcohol. They kind of hint at that. So he's like, I have no supplies. You guys got to go. And so this is when I feel like the family is just not a nice, I guess, family. Like she like immediately shows the baby like, you have to let us stay. And you know, yeah. So they play on his sympathy. That he lost his family, they play on that sympathy. And they do, that's like a recurring theme. So this is what I was talking about before. This is a recurring theme throughout the movie, is they like belittle him. Not belittle him, but they like use the death of his family to make him do stuff for them. So, like, they get mad at him for not coming to them. It was like, cause the mom, like Emily Blunt, starts like crying. She's like, oh, "Did you know it was him? That he was communicating with the husband, who died in the last movie." She's like, "Did you know it was him? How dare you? How couldn't you come? Why didn't you come to us?" And like the entire time, I'm thinking, why didn't you guys go to him either? Like I don't understand this getting angry at him for not coming. Like not even. I'm sorry. Not coming to him, to rescuing them or something. I'm trying to think of the exact words they use. But it's not like a, why didn't you come to us? Why didn't you help us? Like that kind of a mentality. Well, those are the words that they're using. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, he has no supplies. He's living in like a boiler. You guys had a farm. You built a road system out of sand. They had their barn just stocked with canned goods, water, supplies, like anything you would need. Like they were like the target of this world of like, hey, we have everything you need. And they're getting mad at him for not like coming to rescue them from their safe haven place. I didn't understand the angle. I was so confused watching this scene. I was like, wait, he's the dude who has it worse than you. Why are you giving shit to him and making it seem like if he was there, that the husband might have survived? Like, that's what they're kind of implying. Like, he's dead now, and you could have came and helped us all along. And I'm like, that I don't understand the logic of that. Whatever. Anyway, they hear a song that leads them to believe that there's an island nearby, and that there are survivors on there, and that maybe these creatures can't go to water. Or, I'm sorry, go to water. Can't, like, swim or anything. Can't cross water. And so they're doing that, and they're arguing the daughter and the brother. And they really build heavily on, like, the dad is, like, some super heroic, nice guy. Like, he is the perfect male specimen in this world. Because the daughter and the brother are talking, and she's like, I have to go help them. Because she wants to show people, like, hey, like, you know, this frequency, this, like, messed up sound, it affects the monsters. And that's how you kill them. And so the son's like, you know, don't do it, whatever. And the daughter's like, Dad would do it. Dad. And so it's just like, oh, okay, whatever. So then, I think during the night, the daughter leaves. She leaves with like the gun, the rifle, and the boom and the hearing sound. And I thought to myself, like, oh man, yeah, fuck that family. Like, she's like, I'm gonna go save them, and I need these supplies. But also, I'm taking the only thing that could keep my family alive. I'm taking, like, the only weapon and the sound machine that kept us safe from this for so long. So I was like, okay, I mean, I guess, whatever. And as soon as they all find out that the daughter left, blew me away. Emily Blunt goes to him crying and goes, you have to save her. You have to go save her. And I was like, what? What? Why does he have to go? Like, I thought she was going to be like, can you, like, you have to watch my family while I go. No, she's like, you have to go. You have to go save her. And I was like, And then she, again, throws it in his face. That, she says to him, you know, if my husband was here, he'd want you to go. I was like, what? Is he also staying at home? He doesn't... This whole family's like, you have to go do this for us. And it was such a weird line to be like, my husband here, he'd want you to go. I was like, why? He wouldn't go? That's... You're throwing me mixed messages about this man's sense of morality. So, and she's just like, you know, talking about his dead kids, his dead wife, that he witnessed die, and she's like, and so she guilt tripped him into leaving. And I was like, okay, total bitch. Just a total like, just a heartless thing to do. But, okay, you get him to go. Then you cut to the daughter, and she's trying to walk to the water. She's following a train path. And, again, like, just, how do you walk on, like, rubble? Not rubble, like pebbles, because it's pebbles. And she's stepping on the wood, and I'm like, just no sound? Like, it's just all on mute? But whatever. So she finds a train. Like, a train that, like, was on the road and was attacked by the monsters. And so, what does she do? She gets on the train. Because why not? If you want to make as little sound as possible, you're going to get on the old train. So she gets on the train. No noise in any of the stuff that she does. But, then, what does she do? I think she gets like a jump scare, and she screams, and falls. And I gotta say, this is one thing I love that the movie does, and it only works with her, and because she is deaf. So it cuts to her, like her perspective, to the viewer perspective. So I think it's a great use of like the sound. So it cuts to her perspective, where you really can't hear, I don't know that much about, you know, how, like, her level of deafness, and how that works, like what, like, so she can hear, like, I don't know how to describe, like, almost muffled sounds. But I mean, if you watch this, you're probably watching the movie. So it's like weird muffled sounds, but you really can't hear anything. So you hear from her perspective where you can't hear anything, and then you view the viewer's perspective, our perspective, and you see in the back a monster is walking on the train towards her that she hasn't noticed yet. So she finally notices it, and she uses the sound to, you know, affect it, and it's working. It's in pain. It's kind of like sloppily walking, but it is approaching her. So she shoots at it. Oh no, she doesn't shoot at it. She like can't cock the rifle, like the thing to reload it. So she's having problems with that. So it's approaching her. She closes her eyes, and then you find out that Cillian Murphy he kills it by shooting it in the back of the head. Which again, I don't understand how, you know, none of these creatures haven't gotten shot in the head before, but he's the one that does it. He kills it. So, I think, and this is important, I think up to this part in the movie, they've killed, it was either one or, I think it's one in the first one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one in the first one, and now they killed 2 more. So they killed 3 altogether. And it's important because I'm going to explain later on why that's important, that number 3. So, they leave, they go to the docks, and at the docks, they're trying to find a boat to take them to the island where they think people are. So, there's like a dumb jump scare where he's looking at a boat, and then he thinks he sees someone move, like, from his peripheral vision, and he looks up and there's no one there. And I was confused by this because I get that he doesn't see it, but the girl is a few feet behind him looking in the same direction. I'm like, she would definitely see it, right? Like, they're on a little dock. There's not a lot of leeway of where someone can, like, run. So I was like, that doesn't make sense that she doesn't see it. But then they see a little girl, and he approaches the little girl, and she immediately ties a rope on, like, she, like, does, like, a quick grab where she, like, throws a rope over his neck and, like, tightens it, and then runs off. And she tightened him to a rope that had a bunch of bells on it. And, you know, so if he moves, it'll make a little noise and attract the monsters. So then a whole bunch of, like, you know, monster people come, not monster people, just, like, you know, bad people come out. And they go to him. Like, there's no, obviously there's no dialogue, But then it's kind of heavily implied that they're gonna, you know, take the daughter to do mean things too. So while they're doing that, he makes the motion, like, you know, from the beginning of the movie, to dive. So he runs to the guy who's taking her, you know, making all noise, grabs him, she dives, he moves back and like ties him and the rope around a pole, and at that point you see the monster come, and they start laying waste to everyone. And because they're on the dock and they're all in one, like they're in one row, the monster is killing everyone. So the monster kills him, and this is another point. I think it's funny because up until this point, like you really don't see a lot of how the monster kills people. This monster, it's like it does make a lot of like slashing noises, but in a couple of instances where like he's like bobbing out of the water, and you see the monster attacking the guy that got him, the monster is straight up like beatboxing this guy. He's doing like a left, right, and then an uppercut. Like he's beating. This does look really funny because he really is like just throwing hands against this guy. But you know, he's in the water, so he's splashing around. So then the monster looks at him, jumps at him, but he goes in the water. And at this point, you see, oh, they can't swim at all. So that monster drowns. Don't know if he dies or not. But, I mean, I'm assuming, I guess maybe he dies. I don't know. They haven't described these monsters. I mean, they come from space, you find out. But, so I guess they don't need oxygen. But anyway, the monster sinks to the bottom. So, that's 4. And then another monster tries to jump where the noise is because he's hearing another monster splashing. So he jumps on a boat, and the boat drifts away. So that's a monster that gets kind of taken care of. Then you cut back, and like I said, I enjoyed, for the most part, I enjoyed the Cillian Murphy and Millicent's story arc. Then you're jumping back to the son and Emily Blunt, and I like it's weird because I feel like if you like the movie wasn't long, it was an hour and a half, but I feel like if you take out their parts, it's a better movie because I think like so. Let me quickly jump into this. These people are such idiots for having a baby. I'm sorry. It's so stupid. You know, they love whatever. I remember, I think when I first talked to Brendan about it, he was like, well, they want to have sex. I'm like, well, it's fucking have anal. Pull out something. How do you, like, in this whole world, like, we can't make noise. What should we have? I don't know. How about a baby that's crying all the time? And they do. They cry all the time. They're constant criers. So it's selfish of them to have a baby. And then, of course, it's selfish of them for the other kids, for their survival. And it's selfish again to this guy who they want to, like, at one point when she's walking, like, when they first meet her and she, like, hands him the baby, like, you know, don't kick us out. I'm like, I imagine that scene of that pirate movie where she's like, you're the father now. Because, like, why does they make their self-imposed problems other people's problems. So having a baby is stupid. They should have killed the baby. I'm sorry, they should have. It's so stupid. Like, you know, talking about how this father's a nice guy, they're smart for doing, like, you know, no, they were stupid to have that baby. So stupid. In this world, it is idiotic to the maximum level to have a baby. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they had that baby. So I hate it. So it's such a stupid part of the movie because they even use it for sympathy in the movie. So it's like just such a crummy. I hate the whole baby part. So they have the baby in that like cradle casket, whatever thing, and the whole point is that they give it an oxygen mask, and that's like to help it breathe while also like keeping it muffled. And it is such an idiotic thing to do because they're in a small town. How many oxygen tanks do they think they're gonna find? Like, she goes, like, so while they're doing, Cillian and the girl are doing their part, she leaves to go to town to find oxygen tanks. Of course she finds oxygen tanks. She finds 2. Whatever. But how sustainable is that? They went through a oxygen tank in, like, 2 days? Like, that baby's gonna be crying for months. And they couldn't even keep the kid, like, the 6-year-old in the last film alive, and he like lived that for like a year, and he was still playing with toys and turning on sirens. That's how he died. So I don't know. It was I don't understand the oxygen tank thing. But while she's gone, the son explores the abandoned, destroyed, rundown train factory. No noise. He's walking up metal rusted stairs. No noise, of course. Then he like stumbles into a room where his wife apparently, like the Cillian Murphy's wife died. He falls, makes noise. I mean, I kind of really just want to skip over this whole. The whole thing is just so dumb. But cut back to the new dad and the daughter. They're on the island. They make it there. They get a boat, and they're like, it's nighttime. They're like trying to like see if there are any survivors. What's happening here? Maybe there's monsters. They're being quiet, and they stumble upon like a small village, I guess in a way. A village, lights on, people all outside having fun in with a bonfire, drinking coffee, getting food, just laughing, having fun, and it is like, it's like did they do like instant cut to next scene, them like just sitting with a blanket over them, a cup of coffee, just staring into space like, we've been fucking suffering for the past year, we lost our families, and these people are partying. Anyway, cut a little forward, they find out the monster that was on the boat that you drifted away, turns out it drifted on the island. So these people are just bringing death with them. This family is bringing death everywhere they go. And I didn't say family now, because obviously he's a new dad. So the monster comes, he starts killing people. They have an idea. There's like a radio tower nearby on this island, and they're like, oh, we're gonna get in a car, honk the horn, have the monster follow, and we're gonna go to the radio tower, turn on the frequency, and we're gonna kill it. Whatever. Oh, because I think it destroys the radio that the girl has. Also, another interesting part. While they're at the island, they do find out more about the world, where those people weren't on that island. They were brought from the mainland by the Coast Guard. So, so the military did figure, I guess, maybe, it's not sure, it's not stated what time period, like how long into this whole thing that they like started figuring out they can't swim. So I was like, obviously it's like my thought process is like, is all of, because I think they said in the movie there was 3 meteors that had these creatures. One landed in, I think, South America, one landed in North America, and I think it was Mexico, northeastern U.S., which is where this movie takes place, and the last one was in Shanghai. So and they went around and they killed everyone. So you gotta figure the Americans, both Americas are dead, all the countries and people in there. Europe and Asia are probably dead, but like, is Australia, Africa, and Japan, are they just chilling? Right? Like, are they just giant countries and like a whole continent, 2 continents that are just like, yeah, we're fine here. So, it's like, are they like these people in this island? Like, yeah, man, can you believe all of the rest of the world is dead? I do want them to explore that. Because you find out later in the movie how many of the monsters there are in the world. And I'm like, oh, this is a little weird now. But anyway, they lure the monster there. The guy they're with, he dies. And then, a whole bunch of shenanigans. She's able to put the earpiece, the frequency, like to the radio. So it like streamlines all over the radio. So the monster there and the monster with the mom, the son, and the baby both get affected by it. And they get killed. So now you figure that's in the past, in these 2 movies, from what I can remember. Oh, and by the way, that like after that, it's just cut. That's the end of the movie. That's it. So now I'm gonna cook my quick thoughts. So between those 2 movies, they kill 1, 2, 3, 4. They kill 5 monsters. Right? They kill 5. 1 in the last movie, I think, and 4 in this one. You find out in this movie, there are 15 to 20 of these monsters that landed. 15 to 20. So that's about 5 to 7 each on each meteor, because there's 3 meteors. So 2 landed in the Americans, so that's the majority of them, and there's a small group that went to Europe and Asia. How did 15 or 20 of these things wipe out the human population on the planet? Because it is implied that, it's like, you don't hear a lot about the outside world, but you do hear they went across the continents and just killed everyone. Like, there's no more communication. The United States, America, North America, South America, like, they're done. Like, there's no one left. So you're telling me, like, 10 of those creatures ran across the whole country in a year? The 10 of those creatures ran across 2 continents and wiped out everyone there? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Because then the ones that landed in North America are still in North America, and apparently the ones that landed in South America migrated to Northeastern America. I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense to me how how 15 to 20 creatures wiped out the human race. It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And their weakness is headshots. Come on, man. The military would have killed them. Would there be a lot of people who died? Yes, absolutely. Would it be continents worth of people? Absolutely not. I can't believe these things. It's ridiculous that these creatures wiped out the human populations. I don't, like I said, big island-based countries like, Japan, England, Ireland, the continents of Australia and Africa, who aren't connected to those land masses, are they all just fine? Why didn't, is the Navy okay? Is every Navy? Why didn't people just go to I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand the love of this movie, of this franchise, because it's to me it's ridiculous. It's because that's the thing that bothers me a little bit about it, is that it's not it's a dumb fun movie. It's oh no, it's a well written, excellent. I'm like it's I don't know. To me, it's there's such glaring faults with it. To limit the number to 15 and 20. I think in an interview, the person who made the movies, the writer, I think it's explanation where the monsters come from, or their home planet was destroyed, and that they were scattered across on these meteors or whatever. 15 and 20 of those monsters killed the whole human race basically, and their weakness is a headshot. Come on. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid. And then also, again, I don't know why in this movie, the family you're following are a bunch of assholes. I forgot to mention this at one part when Cillian, I think his name, I don't know how to say his name, Killian, whatever. When new dad catches up to the daughter and saves her, he's like, we have to go back. I have to take you home. And she also guilts him into following her by bringing up his dead family. She's like, because at one point, she starts talking about his wife, and great acting on both parts, to be honest. But he starts tearing up. He's like, don't bring up my wife. And I think it's also, I got to mention, because there are parts of great dynamic of having a person who can't hear and a person who doesn't know sign language in a situation where they can't communicate using any words or anything. It's great, because you can see at times he goes to try to whisper things to her or mouth things, and she just can't follow it because she's not she's not used to reading lips. So I think that was a great part. But she also brings up his dead wife and kids to get him to follow her. This family is emotionally torturing this man. Imagine in this world, you have 2 kids. I think he had 2 boys, a wife. The 2 kids are killed by monsters. His wife dies from being sick, so the monster comes. And then this family comes in, who basically is living the dream in this scenario. In this world, they stayed at home. They have electricity. They have a surplus of food. They're banging. They had a kid. They are living the dream. Anything that happened to them is because of their own stupid mistakes. And now they're bringing their stupidity to him. And while they're doing it, they're fucking talking down to him the whole time. My dead husband, he was a great man. He wouldn't have went after my daughter. It's yeah, well, he's her father. Of course he would risk his life for her. So stupid. And it's just so cruel. And like I said, the son's acting I thought was terrible. I think he was, I don't know. I don't know who he is. I just didn't like him in this movie. Emily Blunt, I didn't like either. Besides her character, I think her acting, she had one expression the whole time. Borderline crying and anger. She had, if you look at the movie, it's just the same face in every scene. It's just, but again, like I said, I think Cillian was great. I think Millicent was great. I think the baby was CGI. I wasn't sure about that, actually. Leave a comment about that. I was trying to see in the movie. I wasn't sure if the baby was real or not. I was really trying. And, another part about why these monsters, it's unbelievable that these things kill the human race. So, the way they kill the way the girl kills the monster is she plays the frequency, so it's in pain. So she takes a pipe, or like I didn't even know what it was. It was like a pipe that she found on the floor, or like a fucking stand for a microphone, and she just whacks it in the head. Not stabs it, she whacks it. Like she just like brings it up and then makes it go crashing down into its head. And I mean, look, it's a teenage girl and a fucking shitty rusty pole. This pole goes through its head. Do you know the force that would have to be? Hey, listen. It goes and it's embedded in its brain. And she's whacking it. She doesn't stab it. Look at that. Because I went back and I watched the scene like multiple times to see if she stabbed him. She whacks it. And she whacks it and it goes through its head. So, I know, like, again, don't understand how these creatures were not immediately killed off if it seems like their weakness is their fucking head. And again, it has armor, but apparently when it's attacking people, it's opening up, it's the armor to make the echoing sounds. And Killian also, when he saved her, he shot it in the back of the head, which it looks like that's where the majority of the armor is that like makes it extend. So I don't know. I don't understand how these creatures wiped out the human race. It seems like they have a really bad weakness of having a head. But yeah, overall, parts of the movie I liked. I know, like, I didn't mention a lot of it, but I don't understand how this franchise. It's like people like it's a masterpiece. Like it's stupid. The sounds don't work like they should in real life. But well, I would recommend it, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that's my thoughts. I personally like it. I'm sure you might listen to this, and if you love it, you might fucking think I'm an asshole for nitpicking at certain parts. I'm not trying to dissuade you from not liking it. If you love it, all the power to you. I'm not coming after you. It's just my personal opinion on the movie. And that'll be all for this episode of the. And I'm out.